Well, with temperatures rising and the increased risk of wildfires, it is a good time for us to be reminded of safety precautions this wildfire season. And joining me now to discuss those important wildfire prevention reminders is Captain Erik Scott. He is the PIO for the Los Angeles Fire Department. Good morning to you, Captain Scott. How are you?
Good morning, sir. We're doing well. Thank you.
Good, good, good. Well, quite a few wildfires, as you just heard Banya and I discussing there. They popped up over the weekend in San Bernardino, also in the Riverside area. Just tell me a little bit more about the fact that we're tracking 6 different fires in a small region. Help us understand the conditions that can cause the onset of so many at once. They seem to just pop up out of the blue.
Well, sure. The weather conditions that we're seeing right now are exasperating that challenge. So when you get heat, and over this next week, it's going to be prolonged, it's drying out the vegetation. And so we had a little bit of rain in the past, and that provided that nice grass crop that we all enjoyed, early spring in the green hills, but that's cured. It's now dry. It's turned into what we call light, flashy fuel. The point of that is it's very susceptible to a spark. And I think many people are still surprised to learn that 90% of wildfires are caused by us humans. So be cognizant of that, especially with 4th of July and fireworks.
Let's have a little bit more conversation about those things that starts these fires. You know, when you think of the fires breaking out, it is the surge and the 911 calls that go up. So talk to me a little bit about the impact that it has on probably other emergencies where our attention is given to the fires.
Sure. Well, discarding your cigarette carelessly, or towing vehicles and having chains that could be causing sparks, or even well-intentioned individuals that are performing that proper brush clearance have started wildfires with a weed whacker and a hot exhaust that has touched that light grass we already talked about, not having an extinguishing agent rapidly nearby. So those are all things that we need to think about. I would say probably the biggest 3 things that people can do to be prepared is to have that ready, set, go program well known for you and your family. Harden your home from the embers that could land on it so that way it doesn't catch anything fire. And also create that defensible space. That's a way that you could really join our team. It's like you provide the defense, we'll provide the offense. When you have that defensible space, that gives a fighting chance and increases the survivability of your home.
That defensible space you speak of there, give us a little bit more example of what folks can do. I know some people probably heard that and got sort of the message of what you're saying, but can you give us more detail into how they can create that space?
Sure. You can find a lot of the information on lafd.org/wildfire, but the simple things are you don't want any structures to burn, right? We're here to protect life and property in that order. So we want all the fuels around those structures, those homes and outbuildings to be cleared. So the simple things are weeds and grass down to 3 inches. Trim the bottom third of a bush, the bottom 6 feet of a tree. So I think of it like what we call a fire ladder. When you have embers that are landing in front of the flame fronts, and if they could catch something on fire, it's going to naturally burn up. It's going to hit that lower hanging vegetation, especially if it's dead or it's dry, it's more susceptible. And then that will create a bigger issue. It's going to exasperate the problem. And you want to keep that 200 feet from your home in Los Angeles, and especially be thinking about your roof line. That's where it's very susceptible to having problems. So we want people to ensure that you have 10-foot clearance around your roof line as well.
You know, Captain Scott, you were there at the LA Press Club Awards. I happened to be there as well. And one of the things that they did, they stopped a moment to say, yes, there's competition. This, news agency wants to beat this news agency. But they said in unison, we all were there during the fire 6 months ago. And then, so much coverage on it and how important it was to people. And they showed these amazing videos just to remind us how serious it was, but also how important it was from getting out information and all the first responders and the great job that they did. Let me ask you, 6 months later, looking back, is there anything that you would say we've learned, things we did great, things we could do better? Maybe some headlines you take away from that?
Sure. There's always teachable lessons, and without a doubt, the end to the fire season that we just had early 2025 was just the most horrific wildfire damage that we've seen out in this area. And I'd say one of the takeaways is to evacuate early. When there is a significant wildfire, there's going to be choke points when you're trying to get so many communities to get out of narrow hairpin turn streets often, because that's what the brush areas are like, to get out to larger streets and to be safe. So I think the biggest takeaway that we're going to tell people today, if you're to bring it down to one thing, is to evacuate early. Now, that means you also have to be prepared. You have to familiarize your family and your household well in advance of a fire. And every family's plan is going to be a little bit different. But that's where you get back to those three words. It's that ready, set, go. So being ready to create and maintain that defensible space, to harden your home against those flying embers, and to have that plan. And then now you're really kind of in that set portion, because you're seeing so many wildfires, as you mentioned, breaking out. So that's where you're going to now ensure that you're going to be able to enact that plan. And if a wildfire actually starts threatening your area, you put all those predetermined belongings into your vehicle, back your vehicle into your driveway, and tell your family that, hey, as soon as we see smoke in the area, we're leaving. Or as soon as you receive maybe a wireless emergency alert on your phone, we're going to be heading out of here. And that's the go part. So again, we want people to leave early.
I do think that's something a lot of people who were either in those fires back in January, or those of us who were just watching and obviously hoping for the best, that is a lesson we learned, that when it becomes, you get those warnings for evacuation, you need to heed those orders. All right, Captain Erik Scott, PIO for LAFD, it's always great having you on. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching our YouTube channel. For more stories in your communities, click the subscribe button right here. You can also download our app or watch us on TV for the latest information, balanced coverage, weather updates every 10 minutes, and more. We'll see you then.